So, hello you all. My name is Ria Naik. Hi, Deepraj. Okay. So, I am working as an assistant professor in Goa College of Engineering, and I have done my ME in GC itself, and I have worked on digital image processing, cloud, and data. So, yeah, I have also published papers on data handling, and also published a paper on in IEEE conference, which is data leakage in cloud. Okay, so today I'll be talking to you guys about data science. Even I'm getting my hand in this area of data. Okay, so let's move ahead with our webinar, that is data science, text mining and scripting. Okay, I'll just share my screen to you all. So can you guys see my screen now? Okay, is my screen visible to you all?
Yes.
So, okay. So in this session, what I'll be doing is that I'll be dividing it into two halves. So in first half, I'll be speaking about what is data science and some parameters which are relating to data science and how you can go about this area. And in next session, we'll be giving you a brief and simple demo about text mining and scraping using R language so that you can get a brief idea about what we are actually talking about. Okay, so let's move ahead with our webinar, that is text mining and scraping using R. Okay, so shall I start?
Yes, you can begin.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone, any questions or doubts for her to answer before she begins? Although I'd suggest you wait till the end. You can ask in the group chat if you have any pressing questions.
Yeah,
Fine?
I can check it out later.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, just keep checking the group chat once in a while.
yeah, okay, okay.
Okay.
Okay, then let's start. That is data science, text mining and scraping using R. Okay, so I don't know how many of you know Eva Short, so I'll just introduce her to you all. So Eva Short is a technical journalist, and she used to work for Silicon Republic first. She just shifted to Phoenix. I think you must have read her article on Medium. So basically, she's a tech enthusiast, and she used to write about data science, cryptocurrency, AI, machine learning, and those areas. Okay, so she has written numerous articles about data science, and in one article, she quoted that if data is the new oil, then data scientist functions much like an oil refinery who converts data into insights that can save money and generate capital for you. So by reading her quote only, you can just imagine the immense significance which is given to data and data scientists. So what she meant here was that she compared data to new oil. That means she considered data as a very crucial commodity. And data scientist is a person who basically scrapes this data, converts it, studies this data, gets insight from it, and uses for something better. Okay, like deciding something better or generating money for you and betterment of society. So that is what she meant in this short quote. Now let's look out the typical definition of data science. Okay, can anyone explain me in simple words what is data science if you have idea about it? Okay, so data science is basically a detailed study about the flow of information that we have in this humongous amount of repositories in modern world. Okay, so we have this gigantic amount of repositories, that is data, and data science is an area which basically studies this data. Okay, and gets information and knowledge about this data so that you can use it somewhere. Okay, use it in some better manner. Okay, now, this modern technical world, usually it is driven by three main factors. Okay, so the first one is your domain and business knowledge. That is the knowledge that you have about your organization, about your work. Okay, Then second one is your mathematics and knowledge about probability and statistics. And third skill is your computer and IT skills, which is your programming, your machine learning, your database skills, and so on. Okay, so our modern world is driven by these three main factors, and data science basically is a intersection of all these three. Okay, so it includes all the three, that is business knowledge, your maths, and your computer skills. So it lies somewhere over here. If you can see my cursor, it lies somewhere over here. Okay, yes. Okay, one more thing I would like to clarify is that many people think that data science is nothing but machine learning. Okay, it's not like that. See, data science is basically solving problems. Okay, you have an idea and you basically solve problem based on that idea. Okay, then this machine learning, AI, analytics, those are the techniques that we use to solve this problem. Okay, it doesn't mean that data science is machine learning or data science is only AI. So now that we are talking about this data science and data scientists, what is so important about this area? See, in today's world, about 90% of the data it is generated using IoT. Okay, that is Internet of Things. So what happens is there, as there is boost in this kind of industry that is IoT, there is an increase in generation of data as well. Okay, so data comes from various sources, like your sensors that we use in your shopping malls to gather customers' data, their billing data, the goods that they have purchased. Then post, comments, or tweets that we post on social media, like your Instagram, Twitter, etc. Then digital images, videos that we capture on your phone or your digital cameras. There are also transactions that you make through e-commerce websites. Okay, like the products that you order, products that you visualize or often view. Okay, so data come from all these possible sources, and this humongous amount of data that is generated, it is known as big data. Okay, so big data is this huge data repository that we have across the world. So big data has its investor from various sectors. So the big data is generated from retail, then banking and finance, media entertainment, healthcare, education, government, transportation, insurance, and so on. Okay, so all this factor generates the data which is called as big data. Okay, are we clear? Okay. So now, as an organization or as an individual, you are exposed to this humongous amount of data. Like as an individual, consider for 15 minutes of time spent, you are basically exposed to this data, like the Instagram stories that you view, the videos that you watch on Twitter, on YouTube, and TikTok, and so on. So within 15 minutes on time span only, you're exposed or you're flooded with data. Okay, our attention span it is basically reducing nowadays. And what is happening is that after every minute, we want something new to learn, something new to get entertained about, and that's why this happens. So on a company level as well, the company is flooded with this gigantic amount of data. Okay, but they don't know what to do with this data. They don't know how to utilize this data. Okay, and this is the point where your data science or data scientist comes into picture. So data scientist, what he does is that he brings all the skills like mathematics, then your business knowledge and your computer skills, okay, and tries to analyze this data. Okay, he crunches this data, starts managing that data, okay, studies it and gets insight from it, which can help you in several ways. Like if you are in an organization, it can help you reduce cost of your products. Then if you want to get into new markets, then it can help you over there. If you wanted, if you want to launch a new product or service based on your customer requirements and feedback, you can do that. Also, it helps other organizations like government bodies or some NGOs to take decision on healthcare and education. See, data science is a vast area. It is not limited to only business. Okay, it has its application spectrum almost spread everywhere. I'll give you an example. Recently, Government of India, they had a team which was working with data science, and they offered a project to them. So what they did was that they created three teams. First one was water conservation, okay. Second one was gas station, and third one was public sanitation, okay. So all these three teams, what they did was they scanned our entire country, okay, and collected data from our entire country, okay. And using that data, they identified the main points, okay, in our country where there is no water conservation, no public sanitation, or no gas station within 10 kilometers of span, okay. And this was done by data science and its techniques, okay. So the project was a huge success, and government was also appreciated for that. The challenge that they faced over here was in data handling, okay. See, our country, that is India, it is a developing country, okay. So most of its area are village areas or backward areas. So the data that they retrieved, it was highly unstructured data, okay. Data which was mainly hard printed, or data which was in some another language. So they had to process that data a lot so that it becomes feasible for them to process it, okay. So that is what the challenge that they had, but eventually the project was a huge success. Okay. So these are the areas where you can use data science effectively. Okay. Now, now let's move ahead and look at the life cycle of data science to get even better idea of data science. Okay. Consider a scenario where there is Mr. X, say Mr. Tanmay. Okay. So Tanmay owns a retail shop and he wants to boost his sales. Okay. So he has various questions in his mind, like what is that affecting his business? Whether it is products, whether it is placement of products, whether it is promotion. So he doesn't know. So what he does is that he appoints a data scientist. Okay, consider Vipul. He appoints Vipul as a data scientist, and as a data scientist, Vipul has to go through several phases, okay, in order to achieve findings for Tanmay. Clear? So first step in data science will be data discovery. So in this particular phase, Vipul will start collecting the data for his processing. So what he will do, he will first try to find out the elements, okay, for his project, like elements that could affect the sales of Tanmay. So basically elements like customer feedbacks, customer mails, then their invoices, then staff feedbacks, the product placement, then store location, competitors promotion and their store location. So he will note down all the points or all the elements which are relevant, and then he will start retrieving data in regards to those elements. Okay. Now data can be structured or unstructured data. Structured data means data which is in a tabular format, which is ready for processing, like the data that we will have in your MI system. Okay. And unstructured data is the data which is very raw, like data which is there in his emails, okay, then PDF files, customers printed or hard copied feedbacks, and so on. Okay. So now once he has collected this data, Vipul will have to prepare this data for his processor. So the next step in data science lifecycle is data preparation. So in data preparation, Vipul will take this unstructured data and will try to convert this data in a structured format. Okay. So basically he will clean this data. Now when we are talking about cleaning data, there are two steps in here. Okay. So the first is noise removal. So in noise removal, what he will do is that he will try to extract or remove all the unnecessary part in his data, like some unnecessary characters like special characters, okay, then stop words which are irrelevant in his studies, then white spaces, also then emojis and so on, like extra characters. So he will try to reduce that data. Also, he will try to convert that data, okay, like converting it to lowercase or any other format. The next step is normalization. So in normalization, he will try to reduce that data. How? There are two rules, cementation and limitation. So in cementation, what he will do, now consider I'll give you an example. There are set of words like connected, connecting, connection. So what he will do is that he will remove the suffixes. So all these words will be reduced to connect. Okay. Similarly, he will perform lemmatization. So in lemmatization, what we do is that we convert the words to its lemma. Okay. Now consider you have a word better, but what is its lemma? Good. So it is converted to good. Okay. Similarly, if you have words like leaves and leaf. Okay. So what is a lemma? It is just leaf. So those words will be converted to just leaf. Okay. So this is how he will prepare his data so that it becomes physical for himself to process it even further. Okay. So he will prepare the data. Now next step in this life cycle is mathematical models. So over here, he will use his mathematical knowledge about probability and statistics and also his programming knowledge, and he will try to derive predictive models using machine learning algorithms. Okay. So, and he will try to train the model using some data and also find the accuracy of that model. So that is this phase where he will actually derive his model using all the computer and IT skills. Okay. Now, next phase is, hello? I can't hear you.
Anushka, could you please mute yourself? Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Now, next step is getting things into action. So now Vipul has both his model, okay, and also his data, right? Clean data. So now what he will do is that he will deploy his model. That means he will use the data that he has prepared as an input to his model and basically perform the execution. And it will calculate the findings for Wipro. Okay, that is the factors which can lead to increase in sales for Tanmay. Okay, now next and very last and very important phase of data science is communication. Okay, now that Vipul has got his findings about the factors that can possibly boost sale for Tanmay, he will have to communicate these findings to all the people who are involved in this process. Okay, like customers, staff, and also Tanmay. So this is where his communication or his business skills come into picture. Okay, so he should communicate it very efficiently. Whatever changes or whatever modification he recommends in existing system, he should be able to communicate it to all the parties involved. Okay, so these are the 5 basic steps or basic phases in data science life cycle. Clear? Okay. Now let's move ahead to our next topic. Okay. Now let's see some various and basic components in our data science. Okay. So the first and foremost is the data that you will use for processing, which will actually give you some kind of findings. Okay. So data you will get structured or unstructured, which you will have to process further so that you can get it in a proper format. Next is your knowledge about statistics and probability, which will help you to build your predictive model. Third component is machine learning, okay, where your machine learning algorithms and your skills come into picture. Fourth is the big data. So big data is this huge repository from which you will scrape the relevant data and use it for processing. That is the big data. Next component is development tools. Now to ease your processing, okay, or to better visualize or understand your processing, you will have to use various development tools, okay, and you should select it as per your needs. Last component is your programming. So there are various programming language that we use in our data science project. Now choosing this language depends on various factors, like what language you are comfortable with, or what language your organization is using, or what kind of project you are handling. See, if you are using a project which is mainly about analysis, you can go with R. If you are using a project which is more about development, deep learning, AI, then you can go with Python. So All these factors lead to what kind of language that you need to choose for your project. So these are six components of data science. Okay, now that I've seen most of you all are interested in this area of data science and you are new to this area. So I would like to suggest few points or few ways in which you can go into this area of data science. Okay. So the first one is that see, data science is a vast area and it contains various roles. So I would suggest that you first research on the skill set which is required for data science. And once you're done with it, start searching for ways in which you can cover them, okay, in which you can attain them. Second method is you are exposed to numerous amount of online courses or YouTube lectures nowadays. Yes or no? But you need to select the ones which can provide you with quality content. Clear? Now, you are there on various platforms like Instagram and Facebook, LinkedIn, and so many extra platforms. So, what you do is that you should follow all the people or all the expert professionals who are already working in this area. What they do is they start posting, they keep posting about all the innovations or all the projects that they are working on so that even you can keep updating yourself. Next is this is a very important point. If you want to get into data science, you need to read a lot. Okay. Also, so you will have to read various articles which can help you foster your skills in data science. Also, you need to listen to various podcasts. That's a very effective way of learning. I've shared a document where I have provided with few video lectures or online courses or podcasts which I found were effective. So you can give it a try. Now, also I can participate in various Kaggle competitions. Okay, so there's a platform that is a Kaggle and holds various competitions. So you can go and participate in it. Now, last one is I would like to suggest is that you need to focus on right projects. Data science is a sequential process. Okay, so if you want to achieve the very end of the spectrum, you'll have to start from the very beginning. Okay, you need to go step by step. If you just skip first step and start from the middle, I'm pretty sure that after some point of time you will be lost. You would not know what to do next. Okay, and that's why I'm saying that you need to focus on right projects. Also, one more thing I would like to add up over here is that if you're passionate about anything, not only data science, about any area, I would suggest that you write an article or a blog or a paper on it. See, when you write something about a particular topic, you tend to research about it. And when you research about a particular topic, you learn a lot in that process. So I would suggest that you start writing some blog or article on the area that pleases you. Okay. So these are some points which I wanted to add if you want to go in this area of data science. Okay, so these are the top tools which are used in data science, which are highly expected in your resumes by companies. So the first one is R Studio, which is an open source platform for R, and it is mainly used for analysis and statistical purposes and visualization. Next one is Anaconda and Jupyter, which is used for Python. So if you are in development, then I would suggest that you go for Python and platforms you can choose are Anaconda and Jupyter. So in Jupyter, it has something called as notebook. So basically you can share your script with your colleagues without them having download anything. Also in Anaconda, it has base packages downloaded so you can directly use them. Then there is Spark, which is all-in-one platform which provides you with analysis, statistics, and also database integration. Then there is RapidMiner, which is again an analysis tool. Then there is Tableau. So Tableau is the one which is recently have come in market and it has gained a way too much popularity. So Tableau is basically for people who are not that much in coding. Okay. And it is mainly used for visualization and analysis. So Tableau has basically two versions. So first one is public and second one is private. So in private, you obviously have to buy the subscription. It is not free of cost. And in public, though it is free of cost, you need to use it on their cloud. So basically, the scripts that you execute, you cannot download it on your local machine. It gets saved on the cloud. Okay, and any person basically working on Tableau can access your work. So that is Tableau for you all. Next one is Excel. So Excel, I think most of you are accustomed with. So it's a very easy to understand tool, and it is mainly used for quantitative analysis and high-end visualization. And you can share your visualization on web pages in so many platforms. It is actually extensively used in data science and most underrated tool if you go to see. Okay, so any person who is there in data science, it is must that he has some idea about Excel. Okay, last one is Power BI. So that is Power Business Intelligence. So it is a newcomer in this area. So Power BI is another platform from Microsoft itself, and it is famous for its interactive dashboard and high-end visualization and impressive demographics. So it is also for people who are not that much in coding. It is basically drag and drop and button click. So it is very easy to understand. Okay. So these are some top tools which are extensively used in this area of analysis and data science. Now, okay, this is a controversial topic whether I should go for R or whether I should go for Python. See, there is a single line distinction between them. If you are in analysis or research, statistics, mainly BI solutions, I would suggest that you go for R. So R provides you with extensive range of libraries which handles data handling, then data wrangling, data manipulation, and so on. Okay, so R is mainly for people who are there in analysis. But if you are working in machine learning or AI, deep learning, cloud, like basically development side, then Python is your go-to platform. Okay. See, I don't mean that R cannot handle machine learning. Obviously, it can. It has packages like MLR, Carrot, Carrot Ensemble, and so on. Only thing is that if you want to process humongous amount of data set, R is very slow in that. R is not efficient as compared to Python. Also, if you are handling a huge imagery data set, then there are chances that R might fail. Okay, so that is why Python is a go-to platform when you are handling machine learning and artificial intelligence projects. Okay. Okay, so now that we are working in R, let's see what are the advantages and disadvantages of using R platform. So let's look out for advantages first. So R is basically an open source platform. That means it is free to use, so you can use and exploit its feature without spending money. Second one, as I told you, it provides great support for data wrangling. It has a package called as DPR, so it has several functions like select, manipulate, summarize, arrange, filter, and so on, which you can use for that function. Then extensive packages support. So R has something called as a CRAN library, which has various packages that you can use in your processing. Also, R has user-defined packages which you can download from GitHub. Okay, so there is a two-way setup. Next is its compatibility. R is compatible with C, C++, Python, SQL, and so on. So there is no problem in that. It is also platform independent, that is, it can work on Linux, Mac OS, and Windows, etc. And a very important point is that it is evolving. See, R is R is not a new language, but it has gained its popularity now. So what is happening is that R is building its community. And when I say building its community, it is evolving. That means it is updating itself. So after any point of time, there is an updation going on, and this is a very important point. Okay. Now let's shift to disadvantages in R.
Ria,
Yes.
just one sec. I would like to request all the new participants to mute themselves and switch off their audio because it messes with our recording that is taking place. Thank you.
Okay. Shall I continue?
Yeah, Ria, you can continue.
Okay. So next section is limitations of R. So first is that it provides weak support for graphics. Okay. See, I don't say that it cannot support imagery data. It obviously can. There is a package in R which is called as Image Magic. So it pretty much does everything for your image processing, right from your transformation to rendering and conversion. But only thing when you are giving it a humongous amount of data, imagery or video data or 3D data. Okay, it goes very slow. Okay, also it can sometimes crash your R studio. Second is data handling. See, R is a new platform and that's why it has a base security. So it is not that much well versed with data handling. Now, third one is lesser speed. Okay, so while working on R, I can definitely tell you that R eats up too much RAM, okay, and processing capabilities. So if you want to use R, you need to have a system that has RAM which is 8 GB and plus. Okay, like if you have a huge data set in GBs, obviously you'll have to compromise with the speed and processing. Last one is incompatibility with web. Okay, so you cannot easily share your findings or your plots on web pages that easily using R. And one more point which I came through and I was researching on this, that many people have listed coding as a disadvantage or limitation in R. Like comparing its competitors like Tableau and Power BI, mainly they are for people who are not that much computer professionals. Okay, because there it is just drag and drop button click functionality. Like consider finding simple statistic solutions like mean, median, mode, frequent and infrequent data sets. We'll have to write code in R. But in Tableau, it is that you can just hover over a particular column and just displays the entire summary for you. So for some, it considers that coding is a disadvantage. For some, it doesn't. So these are some limitations and merits of R. Okay, now let's see what are the top careers or roles which are there in data science. Now R has range of roles, but I would like to speak about the mainstream ones. The first one is data scientist. So data scientist is a person who is a all-in-one package. So it is a very high demanding job and high paying also. So it is a data scientist role starts from very base, that is data discovery, and it goes to the very end of the spectrum, that is AI and machine learning. Okay, so he will have to like have skill sets like data engineering, then the business intelligence, business domain, programming, databases, okay, machine learning, and so on. Second role is business intelligence developer. So he is a person who is not bent towards technical stuff that much. He is like an intermediator or the person who makes policies or recommend changes in the already existing strategies. So that is business intelligence developer. Third one is a machine learning engineer. He's a person who is highly into coding and knows about machine learning algorithms and so on. Fourth one is data engineer. Now this is a very important role in data science. So data engineer is a person who works at a very ground level. Okay. His job is to collect the data, then process the data, convert it, okay, and store the data. Okay. So he will be using qualities like scraping, data scraping, then data analysis, and also databases. Like he's querying the different databases. And last one is business analyst. So business analyst is a person who will actually analyze the data, okay, get findings from that data and so on. Now consider this hierarchy of need in data science. So if you are working in a startup, basically data scientists will have to do everything mentioned in this particular pyramid, okay, entire thing. If you are working in a startup. If you are working in a mid-range company, then what will happen is that these three roles, that is collection, store, and transform, will be given to data engineer. And another platforms like aggregation, optimizing, and AI and deep learning will be given to data scientists. If you go to a step further, like a higher end companies, then the roles will be segregated even more. So the person that is data engineer will work at this collecting, storing, and transformation. Then there will be analyst who will be working on analysis and testing. And there will be a machine learning engineer who will be working over here. Okay. So as you go ahead, these roles are even segregated or decomposed more and more. So these are the skill set which you will require, okay, in this data science field. Now next is these potential areas or potential projects that you can use in data science. So first is character recognition. So basically here you will be using NLP and stuff. Then second one is sentimental analysis, where you will have to guess the sentiments about events or any product, whether it was bad, happy, and so on. Then there is chatbot and recommendation system like movie recommendation, product recommendation, and so on. Then there is impact for climate change, time series forecasting, disaster detection, then human action recognition based on imagery or video data. Then there is gender or personality detection. So I'll give you an example of personality detection. Okay, so recently we had a project in GC. So what they did was that they scraped the data, they scraped the social media data of people. Okay, and based on that, they predicted the personality, whether that person is introvert or extrovert or ambivert. So that was a very interesting project. Then next one is image caption generator, where you will be basically looking at the image and generating caption for that. Then there is anomaly detection like credit card and fake news detection. And last one is disease detection, where based on symptoms you can guess the disease. Okay, so these are some areas where which you can choose like for project in data science. Okay, so that's it for the introductory session for data science. Okay, I will like to move on to the demo in the next half. So, Thelma, if you want to give them a 5 minute relaxation, then you can.
Yes, hi. Ria, you can stop presenting and we can take a 10-minute break. Shalaka, are you online? Shalaka?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, Ria, can you just stop sharing?
Yeah, sure.
So we'll rejoin in 10 minutes. In the meanwhile, Shalaka will keep you, how should I put it, entertained. So Shalaka,
So,
just introduce yourself before jumping right in.
okay, sure. So, hi everyone. I'm Sharaka from the team, and let's see. So, I've been with DevTester from the beginning, and thank you, Ria, for a great first half of the session,
Sure.
and yeah, and thank you everyone for attending. Uh, I I know it's a weekend and everything, but we have some good stuff coming up for you guys. Um, Now, since there's a break, I thought why not just play a quick game or something. I came across my office, so we kind of do this game. I'll share a link with you guys. You can join. It's online, whoever wants to play. So it's like Pictionary, but we can all pitch in, and so we can just get a creative side
Just
on.
to clarify, Ria will be back with the demo session after the break. So don't leave.
Yes. Okay, I
Yeah,
put the
Shalaka, you can
link.
continue.
Yeah, I put the link in the chat, so you guys can join through that
I think
link.
Shalaka, you can share screen.
Actually, they have to join it. Yeah, I got one person.
Who is the
Okay.
party?
Uh,
I'll join in a minute.
okay. You guys need me to share my screen?
Yeah, you can share your screen, and I think we have enough participants to start.
Yeah.
There are 6 people. Two of them who choose to remain anonymous.
Now, once I start the game, I cannot. I mean, more people cannot join. That's why I'm waiting.
Oh, okay. Those anonymous people, and including PewDiePie, if you are the real PewDiePie, if we will not give you prizes if you don't have your real name on there. So just to clarify, if you win the game and yeah, if you win the game and then you bitter nectar you too, I'm sure that's not your real name. Unless you can prove it with your Aadhaar card, we will not give you a prize. Thank you.
Okay, so I don't know. Should I start the game? You guys are here. Cool. I'll begin.
To anyone who's asking, yes, my real name is Sir Tanmay. You should check it out on my birth certificate.
Okay, the game has started. Whoever's playing, you need to choose a topic and quickly draw so we can start guessing.
Now, what do you have to guess? Okay.
You just have to type there. What is the
Type, okay.
answer? Okay, what is this? Uh, can you be more specific? Please type on the in the left side. Yeah, right side is chat.
I'm sure that's not correct.
Oh,
Oh,
someone got
someone
it.
got it. Oh,
Oh yeah. No, didn't get it. No idea.
how much time is left?
Almost over. And shotgun.
Ah,
Damn. Okay. Abhi should start drawing. Abhi lost his turn. You need to quickly choose a topic. Okay, Tanmay, you're up.
oh, which screen?
Quick,
Which
quick,
screen?
quick,
Wait. Uh,
fast.
yeah. What? No, what is my word? Um,
Time
okay,
is running.
that is the word. Okay.
Oh,
Um,
you can't tell the answer.
no, it said hint, so I was all confused.
Yeah, you can give hints. Okay, this looks easy. Ah, yeah, I think most of them are gonna get.
Yes, it's due to my good drawing skills. Shalaka knows how good my drawing skills are. She helped me write all my journals in college.
So if many people guess your answer, you get maximum points.
Yes. PewDiePie, it's
PewDiePie
your turn.
is up. Okay, they're drawing.
PewDiePie, if you win, we are not giving you a prize until you prove that you own a YouTube channel.
Okay, something wrong. What is this? Oh. Some CD. What CD?
Okay.
What? What's W? Oh.
Huh.
Huh.
Close it. Sim.
Yeah.
Give us another vowel.
You can give hint.
Click on hint, man.
Click on hint. I'm pretty sure it's not wallet.
Oh, 2 words.
Nobody hit the
What was the
answer.
answer?
No idea.
Ah, ah.
This is frustrating. User photo.
Lost its turn. Oh, it was CD wallet.
What
Was
the hell is a CD wallet? Which era do we live in?
no idea. Uh, this
Oh,
was easy.
damn.
Okay. Oh, Tanmay is no longer in the first position.
Name it. 3 points. I'll make it up.
Bitter nectar beat you.
What's another word for cushion, man? Uh,
It's very fast, actually. Okay. Christopher's
you're up.
coming up.
I play a better version of this sketch.io or something it is. I don't know. Game designer will give a ice.
What? What is that? Looks like
Game
ice.
designer. I got it. I met
What
bitter
is
nectar
it?
still. Bitter nectar, you won't get the prize because your name is illegal. I'm winning.
Oh, I got it.
Plaka, how many rounds do you keep? 1 round only, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
So
so
I
I
think we
think
can
the
end it.
I can end it.
Yeah. We'll start with the session.
Okay, okay, cool. Fine then.
Much time
Who
will
is
we
bitter
take?
nectar? Show yourself.
Okay, who won? Bitter nectar won.
Yeah.
Just once. I'll just be back. Huh?
Okay. So you guys can stop playing now. Who is bitter nectar though? I would like to know.
See, this is why everyone should use their real names.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
how
it's Twish. It's Twishy. Okay.
Twishy. Twishy is not bitter. Why that name?
End the game, right? We can
Yeah, yeah.
start with the.
Yeah, we can come back to the session. Is everyone back from the break?
Yeah, we'll wait for a couple of minutes more and then we can begin.
Start it. Okay.
Who's Wo? Okay.
What?
Who's Wo okay? Who makes Google
No,
accounts that are anonymous?
no idea. Shrey.
Okay, nice. One of our own. One of our
Yeah,
own.
has to be one of our own only. Okay, I think we
Yeah,
can start.
you can start in 2 minutes. We'll just wait if anyone else is right. Free account for cloud storage. I get that. And Netflix also, right? No, but Netflix is linked to a card.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next, Shalaga, next time use Scribble. That's better.
What?
Scribble.io.
Okay.
That gives blank spaces so you can guess the number of words and all.
Oh. This has themes. I just chose general theme. Next time I can choose a better theme. They have a Pokemon theme
Ooh.
and
Ria,
DC Marvel and food. So yeah.
Ria, I think you muted yourself.
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
You can begin in 2 minutes. We'll just wait in case anyone is not yet back. Because it's a virtual meeting, so we are not sure. Is everyone back? Just give attendance in the group chat. Hello? Guys, just give group attendance in the group chat. If everyone's back, we can begin.
Yeah, I think all are there. I can see 27.
No, but they could have muted and just left, right? I mean, just got up AFK.
Yeah. We've crossed, I think.
Yeah,
I think we
okay.
have to break now.
Okay, okay. Ria, you
Uh,
can start presenting.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can continue.
Okay. I'll share my screen.
I'll just share the link to the yeah. So participants, Ria has sent a script. You can download this and start. This will be what you will be working on.
Yeah.
So just copy paste this into your browser and download that script. I've uploaded it in the group chat.
Okay, so first you'll have to download ArcRAN and RStudio for that. I hope you have uploaded it.
How many people are from AITD over here? Can you just mention in the group chat? So
Okay, can I start with the demo?
yes, you can start.
Okay.
The AITD student just I'll be giving a session on Wednesday to you all. So get in touch with Prachi. Yeah, Ria, you can continue.
Okay. Okay, so I have given a installation procedure for you. So to work with R, you have to download two things. First one is RCran and then RStudio. Okay, so it is mandatory that you download RCran first. Okay, so basically whatever libraries or packages that you will be downloading, it will be stored in RCran, and then RStudio will use it for processing. So RStudio is just as an interface for you to work on R. Okay. So you'll have to download both, that is RStudio and RClan, and have it installed on your system. So this is what your RStudio, and it's very pretty basic and easy to understand. So you have a rudimentary menu bar with all file and plots option. The main thing over here is that your RStudio, it is divided into four sections. You can see. Okay, so I'll just describe all four sections to you all. The first one is your editor where you'll be writing your source code, and it also provides you with a line number. There is an index number for your line, so you can write any source code, any instruction in editor. Like I'm declaring some variables over here and so on. And when you want to execute, you just have to select the set of lines and hit run. Okay, you can go sequentially as well. You can just go on selecting one line and you can execute it by hitting run. Okay, so the output is displayed in this console section. Yeah, so this is where we'll be using editor. Now the bottom section over here, that is a left bottom section, it is again divided into three subsections. So jobs. So here it will show what are the current jobs or processing that is going on. So right now there is none, so it is empty. Then in terminal section, we can access terminal over here in RStudio without executing or running your run. Then there is console. So console will display your output, and also you can write your instructions in console as command. Okay, like if you want to print a string, you can just type over here. Okay, save any string, and when you want to execute it, you have to hit enter. Okay, and it will be executed. So you can see your output over here. Now, only thing that is demerit of using our console is that if you want to go backtrack and edit your previously added instruction, you cannot do that using cursor. Okay, what you have to do is that you have to backtrack with your upper arrow on your keyboard, go to that particular uh, code, and then edit it. Okay, and once you are done, you can just go and hit enter, and it will be executed. So that's why we use editor, because in editor you can just go to the previous instruction, edit and execute. Okay, just you have to select and then hit run, and it will be displayed in this console section. Okay. Next is on your right section. Again, there are two subsections. So let's go to the bottom right section first. You can see again it is divided into 5 subsections. The first one is a viewer, which will help you to view files, folders, and plots and everything. There is a help section. So basically here you have to type the any documentation that you want to read. Like consider you want to know about the details of particular package. So you can write the name and it will display the details in this section. Okay. Now next is your packages section. So it will display whatever packages which are installed in your RStudio. Okay, so like I said, RStudio is pretty slow. Okay, so if you want to install more packages, there is a button over here, install. So go over here, just write down the name of the package. We consider tidy R, and you can just hit install. Okay, and it will start installing for you, and you can see the status over here in console. Similarly, you can update your packages. So when you click on update, it will give you the list of packages. You can select a package and then hit install items. Okay. The same thing, your status will be shown in console. Then there is plots section where you can basically view all the plots which you have created and executed in your script. Then there is files section where you can basically use your local files or directories from your systems. Okay, now move on to our last section. So that is the upper right section. Here it is again divided into 3. First one is connection. So it will display all the live connection that you have between two platforms and so on. Then there is a history section where you can see all the previously typed commands and executed commands if you want to backtrack and refer. Then environment section. So it will display all the data sets, data structures, variables that you have created. Okay. So that will be displayed over here. Yes, so this is pretty much about RStudio. Also, you can see this particular icon. If you click, you can see you can create R script, notebook, markdown, also Shiny web app. So in Shiny Web App, it is basically you can create web applications without having prior knowledge about HTML, CSS, and JS. Okay. Then you can create C++ file, Pythons, then SQL. So it is compatible with all the languages. You can also create presentation and documentation and HTML files. Okay. So that's it for introduction. Now let's go ahead and jump in our text mining and scraping demo. Okay. So now over here, what we will be doing is that in text mining and scraping, basically we will perform text mining and scraping of social media data. So we will be using a platform Twitter over here. Okay. So we will be basically extracting data from your Twitter account. Now over here, R and Twitter will be interactive. Okay, and to have this interconnection, we need to connect it. And for connection, we need to authenticate yourself to R. Yes. So first step over here will be your authentication. For authentication, you will have to create a Twitter account for yourself. And once you have created Twitter account, you need to create a developer's account. Okay, I have provided a link in link section, and you can just create a developer's account for you all. Okay, so it will ask you for your basic details, and then you can go submit and create an account for you. So once you have created a developer's account, you will be shown this particular dashboard. Okay, so over here, your first step will be you'll have to create an app. Create an app means you'll have to register an app over here. So when you click over here, you'll be asked to give random details about your app name, then your description, then the URL which is used for whitelisting. Then you can also give callback URL in terms of service privacy. This is optional basically. And once you are done filling all this data, you can hit create. That is, you need to register your app basically. Once you are done with that, you will be retrieved back to your dashboard and you will be shown something like this. So your app will be appearing over here. This is my app which I have already created. So you'll have to go in details section. Okay. So when you go in details section, so here you can see the basic details of your app is shown. So what is required for us is this section, keys and tokens. So just click over here and you will be showing your keys and token keys. So this is what you will be using for your authentication in R. Okay, there is your key, secret key, access token, and secret access token. Okay, just click over here in regenerate. Okay, and when you regenerate, you can basically see your access token and secret access token. Okay, so these are the 4 parameters you will use for your first step, that is authentication. Now jump to the RStudio. Okay, so here you can see I created 4 vector variables: key, secret, secret token, and my token. And I have provided these values of key, then secret key, access token, and token secret in those variables. Okay, over here. Make sure that this string should turn into green. Okay, that means your R is recognizing itself, that string as character. Okay, so that's why just try to enclose it with double quotes. Okay, now once you are done saving the data, okay, as a vector variables, next thing is you need to install packages. Now since over here we will be using Twitter, we'll be scraping data from Twitter, we'll have to install this Twitter package, Twitter with capital R. Okay, so go in your install packages section, click install, type in Twitter, okay, and hit install. Okay, and the packages will be installed. Clear? Similarly, you will have to install HTTR package, which is used for web connection. Now, once you have installed both the packages, you will have to load them in your script. How to load them? Very basic syntax. It is loaded using this syntax library. So, mention library and as an argument in enclosed double quotes, pass the name of the package. So over here it is Twitter and HTTP. Okay. So first let's execute this. Let's create variables which we have defined. So I'm just selecting it. You can see and hitting run, and you can see in console it has created the variables. Okay, over here. Now next thing is I'm loading my libraries, Twitter and HTTP. You can see both the libraries are successfully loaded. Okay. Now, so you can also see the description of that Twitter package.
Hi, folks. If she's going a bit slow or fast and you want her to moderate the speed, then just let her know in the group chat, okay? Thanks.
Okay. So here you can see in help section, you can type in the library name and you will get all the functions which you can use in your Twitter. Now, first thing is that we need to perform the authentication in Twitter. So to perform authentication, let's see what is the function that you will need. Okay, now look over here, Twitter setup underscore Twitter underscore OAuth. So which basically sets up a session, Twitter session for you. So this function we will be using to perform authentication. Okay, we can also get the details of particular function by using this particular code syntax. So you just have to type in the function name and append it with a question. So you can do like that as well. Just select the thing and hit run. So this is your function, that is setup underscore Twitter underscore O. It is basically from the Twitter library. Okay. So it provides you with the authentication handshake. Now, so these are the arguments of this particular function. So you will be needing consumer key, consumer secret, consumer access token, and access secret token, which we have in your developer setup. Okay. Now, so let's try and use that function. To use that function, mention the function name setup underscore Twitter underscore OR and provide your arguments, that is key, your secret key, your access token, and secret access token. Okay. So let's start executing this. Okay. So if you are authenticating it for the first time, it will ask you for options. Okay, that is whether yes or no. So you have to just select yes. Now since I have authenticated earlier, it is using the direct authentication. Okay. So here you can see I have been authenticated. So I'm now connected to my Twitter. Now, next thing is again, I need to search Twitter, right? So scraping means basically we have this Twitter repository, which we will consider as our big data. And basically we will be scraping records from this Twitter repository. Okay. So that is scraping, that is retrieving the relevant data from the huge data repository. Now, so over here, which function we will use for search? Just scroll down, you can see, okay, this search Twitter function. So search Twitter function is used to search in your Twitter account. Okay. So we can see the documentation. So search Twitter will perform a search based on the supplied string. So whatever string that you supply, it will perform a string search for that. So there are several arguments for search Twitter. So first is definitely the string that you want to search. Then comes n factor, which is a number of records that you want to scrape. Okay. Always keep your records measurable. Okay, which should be f. It shouldn't be too much that it hinders your performance or your speed. Also, it shouldn't be so less that it cannot give you any proper finding. Okay, so keep it f. Next thing is you can also specify the language, that is the language you want your tweets in. And here you need to specify ISO code, like how we have EN for English. Then you can have since and until. So if you want tweets from certain date up till certain date, then you can use this argument, that is since and until. Okay. So like that you have so many arguments. You can have result type, which will fetch you either recent or popular tweets and so on. Now let's try using it in our RStudio. Okay. So look at this particular function here. I am using this search Twitter function and I am searching a string which is now currently in trend, sadly, that is hashtag TikTok India. Okay, and I'll be retrieving 1,000 records which will have this particular hashtag. Okay, I want this record in English language, that's why lang English. and I have selected a date that is from since and until. Okay, so these are the dates where it was in a kind of a heat. So I've selected that as my query parameter. Okay, so once you are done with that, what I have done is I have provided this function where I'll be scraping 1,000 records, which will involve TikTok India, and I will be keeping those 1,000 records in a container, in a box. Okay, and I have named that box as scrape tweets. So I'll create a box for my tweets, and I'll be keeping all my scrape tweets in that box. Okay, and I've named it scrape tweets. So just select this particular line of code and hit run. Okay, so you can see when this red icon appears, that means it is executed. So it is scraping tweets for you. Okay. So you'll have to wait until this icon appears on your screen. So you can see that R is a bit slower as compared to other platforms. Do you want me to go faster than this? You can just tell me. Okay, so you can see we have successfully scraped 1,000 tweets and it shows over here. Okay, now let's see certain properties of whatever data that we have scraped. So let's first check the class of our container. So to check the class of the container, the syntax is very simple. Your keyword is class, and as an argument, you pass the name of the container. Okay, so select it and hit run. So the class is list. Similarly, you can check for length using length function. Select it, hit run. So there are 1,000 skips. Also, if you want to look out for certain top 6 bits that we have scraped, you can use head function. So these are the top scrapes that we have performed. So you can see the tweets over here. Okay. Now that we have successfully scraped our data, let's start with mining. Okay. So for mining, you will be requiring 3 packages, that is NLP, language processing, text mining, and TMAP, which is for transformation. Okay. So go over here again in packages, install each library, that is NLP, TM, and TMAP. Okay. And once you are done, load them in your R script using library keyword. So library, and as an argument, you need to pass what? The name of your package. Then select these and hit run. So we can see all the 3 packages are loaded in your R script. Now let's start with data preparation step, where we will be preparing our data for processing. Okay. Now first that we have this list of data that we have scraped, let's convert it into text. Okay. So you can use this sapply function. If you want to know more about this sapply function, you'll have to go to introductory session on R. We can have that for you as well. You can contact them. Okay. So you can use this sapply function, which will take the scraped bits and it will get the text out of it, and we are saving it again in a list format. So use this function, select the line of code and hit run. Okay.
Hey Ria, there's a doubt in the question,
Okay.
in the comments. Chat.
Again, the linking. Okay. So linking is very simple. You just have to create your Twitter account first. Okay, and then you have to create a developer's account. I have provided a link for you in link documents. Okay, and once you're done with that, you will be retrieved to this page. Okay, first it will be pretty empty, your dashboard. So you have to go to create an app. Okay, here basically you have to register your app. Okay, give an app name, provide a description, a web URL to whitelist. You can provide callback and terms of services if you have. Otherwise, keep it empty. Provide description and hit create. Okay, that's a simple thing to create an app. Once you are done with it, you can see your app on the dashboard. Okay. Now from here, go to this details section. in details section, go to this parameter keys and tokens. Now these 4 parameters you will use for authentication. Okay, that is secret key, API key, access token, and access secret key. Okay, these you will have to copy in your R. Jump back to R. Over here, I have provided variables which takes key, secret token, and access token. Fill in the data, enclose it with double quote so that it should turn green. Okay, because R should consider it as characters, right? That's why. Okay. Once you're done with it, install and load 2 packages which are required, that is Twitter package and HTTR package. Okay, and then you have to use this setup with the OAuth function, which will perform authentication for you. Here, arguments will be all the data that you have fetched from Twitter. Okay, so key, secret key, and my token. Okay, feed that as arguments over here, execute it and run. Okay, that's it, and you will be connected to your Twitter. That is your authentication and connection. Okay, so are we clear on this? You can drop a message. Okay. Okay, now let's move ahead. So first we have created a list where we have shifted our textual data. Now next thing is whatever UTF-8 characters that we have in our data set, we will be converting it into ASCII form. Okay. Now what happens is that if there are certain data which cannot be transferred, it converts it into NA. Okay. Or you can use this sub function. So in sub parameter, it is basically substitute. So you can tell if you want to substitute as white spaces or something else. Okay. So that is it. I have kept it default over here. So let's go ahead and convert it into ASCII form. Okay. So just select the sentence, hit run. That's it. Okay. So we have converted. Now the main important part is corpus. So in order to perform text mining, we have to convert your data in a corpus format. Okay. So here we'll be using 2 functions. So first one is a vector source. So vector source, what it will do is that now we have scraped all these tweets. It will take this grouping of text and convert it into each document. Okay. So main list will have these tweets, okay, which are group of words, right? So vector source will take this group of words and convert it into documents. Okay. And vcorpus will convert this entire thing as a corpus. So corpus has both the thing, that is a data and the metadata. So metadata is nothing but data information. That is a data about the data. Okay. So which we want for our text processing further. So vcorpus is used to create corpus out of your data. So we have created a vcorpus over here and I have saved it as a name main corpus. Okay. So let's try this. Just select the function, hit run. So I have created a main corpus, you can see it. Now, next thing is let's perform the text cleaning. So first, we will be using over here tm map function, which is a mapping function which is used for cleaning purpose. So in first, what I'm doing is I'm using this tm map and I'm converting the data into lowercase. Okay. So the syntax is pretty simple. The function name, and as arguments you provide what? The name of the data set and a operation which is a toLower. It is a built-in operation in tmap library. Okay, package. So and what I'm doing is that I'm assigning it to the main corpus again. That means I'm updating my corpus. Okay. So let's select this and hit run. So I've converted my data into lowercase. Now next step is we need to remove the punctuation. Okay, that is comma, at stop, full stops and so on. So here the syntax is same. Use the tmap function and as an argument pass main corpus, the data set, and provide the operation remove punctuation. Okay, select the entire thing, hit run. And now we have removed the punctuation. Now next thing is to remove the numbers. Okay, this is optional. This you need to do according to your project need. Okay. So again the same thing. as an operation, I am passing remove number. So these are the built-in operations in tmap function. Okay. So here I am removing numbers. Next one is to remove the stop words. Okay, now stop words are the words which are of not that much relevant meaning in computer terminology, like a, and, the, that, and all. So these words, though they mean much more when there is a human interaction, it doesn't pay that much meaning when they are used in computers. Okay, I have also given a link where you can see what are the different kind of stop words. Okay. So over here in this function, we will be removing the stop words from main corpus using tmap function, and again saving it as main corpus. That means we are updating our corpus. Okay. So select this function, hit run. So it would take few minutes to convert the data set. Okay. Now next thing is to create URLs. Okay. So here I have used the gsub function. So in gsub function, basically it will remove the URL and it will replace it with null or a space. Okay. So first you'll have to define the function, that is remove URL, which I created. So if you want to learn about how to create functions in R and all, you have to start from the step one, that is very introduction about R. Okay, that is from variables, dataset to functions and so on. Now, next thing is use the same function to convert your main corpus, that is removing the URLs. Next. Now we are converting this corpus into plain text documents, okay, for visualization. So again, tmap, that is your function name, the data set, and your operation. So this plain text document, it is basically a function in that library package, okay? And hit run. So it is now converted into plain text document. So these are the steps for data cleaning. Okay. So you can add more if you want, like removing white spaces and so on. That is up to you. Now, next thing is let's start data visualization. That is, let's get some pictorial representation of data that we have. Okay. So first we will try to create a word cloud out of our data. So word cloud basically will take the words from your data set, the frequent words, and will create a cloud out of it. Okay. So to use that function, first you will have to download a package saying word cloud. So go in install section, type word cloud and hit install. Okay. And you can see your status in console. Next, load that library in your R script using library key. So just load that library, select it and hit run. And now you can create your word cloud. So use the word cloud function, and as argument, first you need to pass the data set that you want to perform or have a word cloud of. Then set the minimum frequency, that is the least number of times the word should appear in order to get featured in this word cloud. Then you can scale your word cloud. These are the pure dimensions. Then there is random color. So these are the themes. There are so many themes like dark 1, dark D2 and so on. I have kept it false right now. You can just remove this section. Then maximum words, that is max words that you want to have in your word cloud. Then random order. Okay, so always keep this random order false. See, if it is true, it will display that words in random fashion. But if it is false, then it will display it in decreasing fashion. That is, the word which has appeared the most times will be highlighted. Okay. So once you're done with that, just select your line of code and just click over here and select and hit run. Okay, and you can see that word cloud is generated. You can just click this one. Okay, so this is your word cloud. So all the frequently occurring words will be highlighted. So recently there was a argument over ban of TikTok in India. So you can see those words are highlighted. Then there is ratings and all, since its rating has dropped down drastically. So you can see all the frequently or trending words regarding TikTok in India. over here in word cloud. Okay. Okay. Now let's try to find some frequent item set and related item set. So for that, we will be using TDM, which is a term document matrix. Okay. So term document matrix will take your data set and it will convert it into a matrix. Okay. So each column will be a document and each row of that matrix will be a word and the number of times that word has occurred. That is the count. Okay. So to create your term document matrix, function is pretty simple. It is term document matrix with T, D and M capital. Okay. So mention this keyword and pass your data set as an argument. Okay. And I'm saving it as mine TDM over here. So let's try to create our term document matrix. Select the line, execute. Okay. You can view your term document, just mention the mine TDM and select it right here. Hello. Okay. So these are the properties of your term document matrix. So out of 1000, it has scraped 410 terms. Again, there is a sparsity of 100%. Okay, you know what is a sparsity? Sparsity is basically the frequency of unrelated or unrequired words in the data sets, okay, which are not that much interrelated. Okay, so here, since there is 100% means which we have high frequency of unrelated words that we need to reduce. Now, we can also find the frequent terms in our data set. So for that, we can use a simple function find freq okay, and your arguments will be your data set. Now over here, the term document matrix that we have created, and you can also mention the lowest frequency that you want to have. Okay, so use this find frequent terms function to calculate the frequent terms in your data set. So let's try and see what are the frequent terms in our data set. So you can see these are the frequent terms in data set. So you can see there's so much talk about banning the TikTok in India and so on. And you can also see some of the people who are recently in trend in TikTok. So if you want to target those people for some product. So, now, so here you can see the details about this particular functions. Okay, now find association is a function if you want to search for all the related words. Okay, then you can use find association. Like if I want to search for all the related word with the keyword pan, then your function will be find assoc. Then as an argument, first the data set, then the string that you want to find relation and the correlation factor. Okay, you select this and you can hit run. Okay, so you can see these are the all related factors to band words. Okay, now as I've told you, the sparsity was 100%. That means we had a large number of infrequent words in our data set. So we need to remove that. Okay, so to remove that, we use the dimensionality reduction procedure. Okay, so we use a function which is called as remove sparse terms. Okay, so use this function to remove the sparse terms from your document. Then provide a data set that is mind area and the sparsity value that you want to have. So if I give it like 0.99, it can be reduced to like about 92 to 98%. Okay. So this is basic dimensionality reduction that we perform on our data set. Okay, so let's see the sparsity value. Okay, so you can see it is 97%. Okay. Now we need to scale our data set. Scale means we need to get it in a normalized, that is standardized fashion. So to get it in a standardized fashion, we use a scale function. Okay. So it's pretty simple to use. Just provide the scale keyword and pass in the data set on which you want to perform the standardization. Okay. So now we have standardized our data set. Okay. Now, next thing is we will be creating a cluster out of this data set. Okay, cluster of all the related ones. Now for that, first we will have to find what the distance methods. Okay, So over here to calculate the distance, we use this dist function in R. Okay. So dist function basically calculates the distance between the two coordinates. Okay. Now over here we have used a Euclidean distance measure. Okay, there are many like maximum and Manhattan and so on measures that you can use in R. Okay, so distance function will convert this stadium into distance matrix that you will use for your clustering further. Clear? So in clustering, what happens? It calculates the distance, and all the words which have least distance between them, they are clustered together, right? And that's why we want this distance measure. Okay. So here you can mention that. So use a distance function, provide the data set. Now after scaling, we have converted into MIND to DM scale. Okay. And provide a method. If you don't provide method, by default, it will take Euclidean method. Okay. And now I'm saving that dist in MIND dist variable. So select it and hit run. Okay, you can just view this distant variable. Just hit run and you can see all this distant matrix that you have. So which are mapped according to the keywords. Go on very top so you can see the distance which are mapped. Then next thing is once you have done calculating the distance, let's try plotting the cluster. Okay. So to plot a cluster, we use this function that is hclust. Okay. Use help section or this syntax to get the details about hierarchical cluster function. Okay. So in hierarchical cluster function, the function that we use is hclust. Okay. The argument will be the data set and the method. Okay. So there are several methods available: what t, what t2, complete, and so on. And also average. So if you don't mention any method, by default it will take this complete method, okay, for clustering. Once you are done providing the arguments, okay, you need to save it in a particular variable. So I saved it as a mind-cluster friend. So select this and it will create a cluster for you. It will create a cluster. Now, let's try to view that cluster. Now, to view that cluster, we use a plot function. So the syntax is pretty simple. Just use plot, okay, and then pass the name of the cluster. Here, what is the name of the cluster? Mind cluster fit. So plot and pass this argument mind cluster fit. Select this and hit run. Okay, so you can see that successfully they have shown you the cluster. So they have mapped all the words together. So you can see all the banned TikTok in India and so many words are clustered together. Okay, so this is how we perform clustering in R. Okay, so we can also use k-means clustering. The syntax is very simple actually. So it is just k-means, and you need to provide the data set. Like over here, what we had was MindList. And you can also mention the number of clusters that you want to create. So this is pretty much the syntax for k-means cluster. It's very easy. Okay. Now, if you want to highlight the clusters, you can use cut tree function. So what I'll be doing is that I'll be cutting the tree, okay, into 5 sets. Okay. So I have mentioned this k value as 5. Okay. So for cut tree, we'll have to mention the data set and the value. So it will cluster your function in 5 data sets, you can see. So this word is basically assigned to first cluster, then everyone is assigned to second cluster. So this is how it maps according to the cluster. And now you can just highlight using this hclust function. So basically rect function will just create a rectangular border over the 5 clusters that we have created. Okay. And you can also mention the color for that border. Okay. So first mention the data set, then a number of clusters, and then border for that cluster. Now select it and hit run. Okay, so you can see this that it has successfully shown you or highlighted you the clusters. Okay, so this is how you can show visualization like word cloud, dendrograms, and clustering in R. So yeah, that was a basic demo about scraping and text mining in R. So yes, that's it for this session. Um, if you guys have any questions, you can ask me. If you want a demo or
Hi, you can.
so,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
no, or speak.
No, you continue.
No, that's it.
Okay. You guys can unmute yourself if you have any doubts. Yeah, Ria, you can continue.
Okay, so do they have any guys? How will you know which word occur highest number of time? That is using the frequent item set, which I've shown you. Find frequent times. So basically, using this function, it shows you all the words which are occurring frequently in your data set. Any other? Since this topic was like this session was to be for people who want to get into data science, I limited it to mining and scraping. Like if you want a slightly tougher topics like sentimental, survival, and predictive, then we can have that as well. You can let Tanmay know.
So yes, we do a lot of topics, but in covering complicated
Yeah, it's
subtopics, yeah, covering complicated subtopics would require a more detailed session of 2-3 hours.
yes, yeah.
So even I had urged Ria to
Actually, even
keep
I
it a
wanted
bit
to take
simple.
it to sentimental, but then since has to be pretty basic also for me.
Yes, I had urged Ria to do that.
Okay, so any other questions? Okay, data visualization is better in Python rather than R. Uh, uh, I don't think so because I think R provides you with range of libraries like ggplot, ggplot2, rchart, and so on. Obviously, you can with ease you can share your plots on Python on web pages easily than R. But I wouldn't agree that visualization is better in Python than R. Any other queries? Anyone? Abbreviations in R and slice to slice. Okay, Amutsa, is that you? Okay, okay, you can use various
Okay.
libraries like that. Okay, so the mainly used library for now this comes under manipulation. So I would suggest that you go for dplyr package. Yeah, dplyr package is very feasible when you are wrangling or manipulating data with R. Also, the mainly used package for scraping data from HTML, uh, which I had got a question about, it is RWest. So, if you want to perform scraping on HTML pages, so it selects the attributes and gets the data from HTML pages. So, if you want to perform any tracker online, then you can use RWest. Like how we have beautiful soup in Python, I guess. It's the another version in R. Okay, any other questions?
Okay, till then I'll just circulate the feedback form. So don't just leave. Um, yes, I've circulated the form in the group chat. Please take a look at it and fill it up. So
Okay.
before you leave, um, so that we also get feedback and so does Ria.
Yeah, please. Shall I stop sharing the screen?
If you have anything else to show, then you can continue. Since
No.
we still have about 10 minutes left.
No, that's
The
fine.
link works, right? Can someone confirm if the link works? Yeah, it seems to be working. So don't worry, the form is anonymous, so you can give honest feedback. To those people who are just offline, we have circulated a feedback link in the group chat. You can fill it up. And it's completely anonymous, so you can give honest feedback. Right. Anything else, Ria?
Oh, that's yeah.
Okay, I'll just wrap up in a minute.
Yeah. Okay, then it was nice working and giving you guys a webinar. So please, as Tanmay said, give a honest feedback so that even I can improvise on my skills. Okay, so shall I stop sharing my screen, Tanmay?
Yes, you can stop sharing your screen. Uh, Thanks, Ria, for the wonderful session. I'm
Yeah.
sure everyone liked it.
Thank you, Tanmay. Thank you, Dave Cluster, for giving this opportunity.
Yes. So the form is regarding anonymous feedback, but if anyone wants to give some verbal feedback, then that would also be appreciated. Anyone? Whom have I seen? So we had tried to conduct a data science session under our Facebook um, DevC initiative. So we did do 2 sessions in August last year, if I'm not wrong. August, right? Vipul? Vardhana was the speaker for those. Vardhana and Prachi. And yeah, so we have tried to do data science, but somehow we could never go ahead beyond the basic level. But if there's more interest, then we'd definitely like to take it forward and maybe do a series as such. And yeah, we would also like to do more on the application side than just learn something like R or something. So yeah, anyone who wants to give some verbal feedback? Yes, as our usual web meetups go, we have goodies or prizes for people who come and give feedback. And I'm not joking about that. So yes, please unmute yourselves and you just have to give feedback and you have a prize. There's no other criteria. Doesn't have to be that, oh, okay, it has to be good feedback, very verbal, verbose, or anything. So yeah. Nobody? I'll wait for a minute more and then we can wind up. Should I start picking out names? Sampan, you were very, you asked a lot of questions. Did she answer your questions properly? I know you're still online. No need to. Right. You can unmute yourself. Sampan Naik. You're from GEC, right?
Yeah, he is from G. Sampan is nice
Yes.
too.
Yes. Any feedback, Sampan? Yes, thanks, Sampan. Anyone else? Vivek, you are active in a lot of our sessions. So Vivek attends almost every session that we conduct. Yeah, hi Vivek. Any feedback?
Thank you, guys. I have shared this.
Sampan, the code was sent, right? Or do you want the final code? Is that what you're asking for, Sampan? Okay, I don't know if Sampan can hear me, but I guess the others can leave. No, Sampan, in the group chat we had sent the code, right? Priya, is that the same code or is it different from the final code?
No, it's the same code.
Okay.
I have just added that remove URL function, but that's it. Otherwise, it's the same code. Also with the data set.
Yes. Okay, then thanks everyone for joining. Thank you, Ria, for a great session. Feedback also seems to be amazing. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
If
Tanvi.
yeah, if there are more people interested, do tell us. We'll probably take up a more higher level session in data science. Thanks everyone. I'll end the meeting now.